So welcome back. We are on with Unit 1 still, and we are going to do today's class. We are going to talk about GDP at current prices and GDP at constant prices. GDP at current prices is also known as nominal GDP, and when you're talking about GDP at constant prices, then we are talking about the real GDP. What has been the real change in GDP? Now, what is constant prices? They are based on what is known as a base year, which is decided by the monetary authorities along with the government, that a year that they choose in which almost of the variables are, there's not much fluctuation, and secondly it's a normal year. They try to pick up that particular year. So, of course, what we are going to do is just imaginary, just to understand the concept. So, current prices will be simply putting, it'll be current year production into current year prices. Last year, you all did index numbers, and that it would be something like P1 into Q1. That means current year prices into current year output. And if we take up what is known as GDP at constant prices, that is a real GDP. In this, we will take the production of the current year with the prices of the base year. So base year prices, we put it as P0 and into Q1, that is current year production. So if you understand that, then that's the bottom line, and based on that we can work out, or we can understand this concept in detail. So just have a look. We are going to talk about first a little on what is GDP at current prices, which is nominal GDP, and then we're going to talk about GDP at base year price, that is real GDP. So have a look, just see, look at this. So based on this, we can see that, can you see that? I hope. Yeah. So as I said, GDP can be measured both at current prices and constant prices. Now, when the final goods and services produced in a year are valued at current prices, we get GDP at current prices. Now, what are current prices? They refer to the prices prevailing in the year in which goods and services are produced. So I'll make it clear with the example. So whichever year you're thinking of, suppose you're thinking of year 2020, okay, and then, for example, if we measure GDP of India in the year, say, 2020, so that'll be GDP at current prices at market price, and this is known as nominal GDP. And since for nominal GDP we use same year's output and same year's market price, it will change either when overall price level changes, or when the actual volume of output of goods and services changes, or when both change simultaneously. So there are three ways it can change. Number one, when overall price level changes, or second, that is P1, and or when the actual volume of output of goods and services changes, or both change simultaneously. Only then there we can find that there will be change. So now let's just define it once again. When final goods and services included in GDP are valued at current market prices, that is prices prevailing in the year for which GDP is being measured, it is called GDP at current prices, or nominal GDP. Now, what is real GDP? Now, talking about real GDP, what is it? When GDP is computed at constant price, it is called GDP at constant prices, or real GDP. Now, usually under this method, money value of the final output of every year is expressed in terms of prices prevailing in a particular year, which is called the base year. So that is why it is known as constant price, because the price remains